Okay, ma'am.
I think we'll wait for a couple of more minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and then we can just start. Good evening, Ranil. Um, yeah, I'm not sure how many actually might be joining, but I'm hoping all of you have gone through the lectures for week 7. All right, I think we are about 4 people. I think let's just start and then we can see later on if anyone wants to join or not. Um, Again, since there are very few of you, please do interact and let's have discussions because this session is actually mostly for discussions. So yeah, I'm going to start now. All right. So this week's or the last week's lectures were on biogeography, and this is a representation of all the different biogeographic realms in the world. So I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with these different biogeographic realms, but would you like to guess or list out what any of these biogeographic realms are? So there are. So, does anyone know about biogeographic realms? So, the entire world is divided into actually 8 biogeographic realms, but out here in this figure, you can see only 6 of them. Anyone would like to guess where India falls in? What is a biogeographic realm India falls in? Any guesses? Don't know? Okay, that's okay. Does anyone know what actually is a biogeographic realm? If you don't, I also need you to tell me that you don't know so that we can go and discuss about this. So Ranul says he doesn't know. Anybody else is also not familiar about biogeographic realms? Please, like, feel free to put this in the chat. I need some response. So I'm going to wait till more people say that they know or they don't know. Let's see who we have here. Amol, Aparna, Manish, Pradnya. Do you all know what are biogeographic realms? Just feel free to use the
No,
chat box. Yes, Amol.
no, ma'am.
All
Mm,
right. Okay. So I have this.
don't know, ma'am.
Sorry, Manish.
Ma'am, I don't know.
All right. All right. Yeah. So I have this. I'm going to just shift tabs. Let me know if this is work. Do you see another tab on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So basically, this is a viewer interface of from ArcGIS. ArcGIS, which you can see out here, is one of the main softwares that are used for mapping out to different things. And so what you can do is that you can read about what biogeographic realms are out here. So you have basically, I'm going to read it out. The climate of the planet, along with a number of other factors, has a large effect on the types of plants and animals that are able to naturally survive there. This has led to the development of different ecological areas that comprised of a makeup of plants and animals, right, that are unique to only these areas. And this theory was developed by Mykolos Udvadi in 1975 to and to understand these particular zones known as biogeographic realms, right? And these particular zones have characteristic flora and fauna. So the larger um, accumulation of a biome forms a biogeographic realm. So, biogeographic realm has multiple biomes, but those biomes may biologically differ from similar biomes in different biological realms, right? So, I'm going to close this small write up
That was
and
yours.
yes, Shabir. Okay, so I'm going to switch to here and list out the 6 zones that are mentioned in this diagram. So the green is called the Nearctic area. The red zone here is called the Palearctic area. South America and Central America comprises of the Neotropic area. Most of Africa and the Middle East comprises of the Afrotropic biogeographic realm. You also have the Indo-Malayan realm, that is this brownish or ochre yellow definition on the map, and then you have Australasia, which is completely distinct. So apart from this, if you look in the map, you also have Antarctica and the oceanic realm, right? So if I move around in the map, you can see these biogeographic realms listed out. They include the water bodies as well as the land masses that surround these, that are bounded by these water bodies, right? So you have the Paleotropic, the Palearctic, the Afrotropic, the Indo-Malay, the Australasian, the Neotropic, and the Nearctic. And then you have the Oceanic that covers all the area apart from whatever these zones are marked, and then you have the Antarctic that is comprised of the Antarctic Circle. Right? Does this make sense? So this is really important when you are studying biogeography. Oceania and Antarctica are the same. No, actually, oceanic is this part. So the Antarctic is completely the polar, the South Pole, the region surrounding the South Pole, which is below this line, right? This line that you see at the base. But anything above that not included in any of these zones is oceanic. Does that make sense, Randall? All right. Okay, so this was just to broadly give you an idea of what these biogeographic realms are, and when you're studying biogeography, this becomes really important, right? So let's go on to the next section. So here is a little bit of distribution of particular kinds of habitats in different parts of India. So I would like you all to match these habitats to the particular states that they are found in, and we can discuss about them as we go. So let's probably, so maybe I can give you 2 minutes to write in your options. Oh, I think I should have marked these as one, two, three. Maybe let me just edit that. Right. Okay, fine. You can type. Sure. Shola Forest, Tamil Nadu. Okay. Okay, we can go one by one. No, but then that leaves us with no options later on. Okay, you can type. Okay. I'd like others to also pitch in. Okay, so okay, so it's again, anybody can unmute and also discuss if they want.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Alpine Meadow, Uttarakhand.
Which one is Uttarakhand? Rishikesh?
Alpine Meadow,
Okay,
Great Indian Desert, Rajasthan.
okay.
Yeah.
And the rest, everyone agrees. So everyone in this group agrees with Ranal and Rishikesh. Okay,
No,
that's
ma'am.
great. Yes, Manish? Okay. So let's discuss a little bit further on these particular types of habitats. So does anyone want to talk about the Shola forest? I think I've discussed this before as well. What is so characteristic and special about the Shola forest? How is it very unique?
Don't know, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Anyone else who has attended the previous lectures or the previous tutorial sessions and remembers?
Ran of Kutch, ma'am, Gujarat.
Yes, yes. No, I was asking. Yeah, that is all right. But I was asking, what are the Shola forests and what is unique about the Shola forest? Could you tell me something about the Shola forest?
Ma'am, solar forest is in a tropical forest, ma'am.
Okay, it is found in the tropics, but what is so special about this? Where are the Shola forests found in like Tamil Nadu?
Tamil Nadu, Kerala, ma'am.
Okay, they are found in Kerala also. That's correct. Where else are they? And what is the characteristic features about the Shola forest?
Madam, sandalwood trees are found in abundance.
Uh, well, not in the Shola forest. That's probably at a little lower elevation. So Shola forests are restricted to about 1500 meters above sea level, and they are also known as cloud mountain type forests. And yes, Bharat Kumar.
Ma'am,
Yeah, were you saying something?
ma'am, it is in a coniferous forest, ma'am.
It's a sorry.
Coniferous, coniferous forest.
Oh, I see. Okay, so actually, it is not a coniferous forest.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
you don't have pine trees in Shola forest. Shola forests are found in the western Ghats of India, and they are restricted to higher elevations. of elevations of 1500 and above. And so the Shola landscape consists of a biphasic mosaic, right? So it contains two types of habitats, the Shola forest and the Shola grasslands. And these Shola forests have a high level of endemic species that are found in these regions and that are only found in the Shola forest. You don't find some species outside the Shola forest at all, right? And you they do have they are called cloud mountain forests because they are only situated on the hilltops, right? So as you go lower down in elevation, you don't find the Shola forests. So they are found like isolated mountain tops in the clouds, right? So that is like very characteristic feature about the Shola forest. So, can someone tell me about the riverine floodplains in, what did everyone guess? Uttar Pradesh? Which are the riverine floodplains in Uttar Pradesh? Okay, which is a major river that flows through Uttar UP? Does no one know which is a major river that flows through UP? Any guesses?
Ganga.
Yes, correct. Thanks, Bharat. So the Ganga, yes, is flowing. Ganga and several of its tributaries flow through UP. And can someone describe these riverine floodplains? What exactly is it? Can someone describe the habitat type? What type of soil is found here? This is all basic geography that you have studied probably in school.
Ma'am, alluvial soil.
Correct. Yes, alluvial soil, and alluvial soil that is brought down from the due to the erosion of the banks of the river as it flows from high to lower elevation, right? And what is so special about alluvial soil?
I'm rich in minerals.
Yes, it is very rich in minerals and it is very fertile soil for growing crops, right? So these riverine floodplains are very rich in nutrients and minerals and are very important for a lot of agricultural activities that happen around here. Right. So who would like to tell me about the run of Kutch? This has been covered in other lectures as well. And there's a particular species of animal that is found in this run of Kutch and not anywhere else.
I'm Indian wild ass.
Yes, that's correct. So the Indian wild ass is characteristically found in the run of Kutch. It is restricted to this area. And what exactly is the soil type in the run of Kutch? I need people to please talk and interact.
I'm salt marsh.
Yes, it's not, yeah, they are salt pans and salt plains, right? So it's very salty soil. So if you look at it from afar, you can just see a white expanse of complete ground. And these animals are pretty characteristic and found in the area. Yeah. So, what about the alpine meadows in Uttarakhand? Does anyone know a good example of an alpine meadow in Uttarakhand? It's quite famous and well known.
Valley of flowers.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the Valley of Flowers is found in Uttarakhand and it is characteristic alpine meadow. I don't know if all of you have seen. Let me just bring it up. Valley of Flowers. So, if you see the image, you see this kind of a landscape, and this is exactly what are alpine meadows. They have multiple different seasonal flowers that bloom every spring, and you need permission to enter these areas, and they are highly protected as well, right? So these form a very characteristic kind of habitat, and you have a lot of plant animal interactions in this area, just like other areas. But any pollinator species are very important in helping to pollinate these wildflowers and ensure that their populations remain sustained in this area, right? And what about the Great Indian Desert? It is also known as,
Sahara Desert.
sorry, yes, yeah, it is the Thar Desert that is found in Rajasthan, and this, of course, has its characteristic desert kind of habitat. So, none of these different habitat types or zones are overlap with each other or are similar to each other in their flora as well as the fauna, right? All right, we move on to the next question. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with the theory of island biogeography. Yes, Shabir. Shabir, do you have a question? Okay, I think you might have accidentally raised your hands. Okay. Is everyone familiar with the island biography theory? So, even if you're not familiar with it, we have here a graph that depicts the island biography theory in a very nice manner. So basically, you need to remember that there is a mainland, okay, like a mainland, like for example, let's say a large landmass, and you have islands that are distributed at a distance from the mainland, right? So when you see these words like close and remote, close means that islands close to the mainland, and remote means away from the mainland. Small means small islands, large means large islands. Colonization means occupying a particular landmass. Extinction means dying from that landmass, right? So, according to the theory of biogeography, which island size will support the most number of species? So, here we are looking for the most number of species. Okay, so I have one. Okay, Rano says remote large islands. Okay, does anyone have? Okay, so remote actually means far. I have written far in place of remote out here. So just that is just interchangeable. Would anyone else like to take a guess at how this would be? So, which island size will support the most number of species, and where will this island be located? D, far large islands. Okay. I think Ryan also says D, remote large islands.
See, ma'am.
Rishikesh says C. Okay. So we have two D's and one C. Any other guesses? We have about 11 people here. I would like to have some more answers, please. Uh,
Ma'am, closed large island.
Close large islands. Okay, Manish says close large. Some more answers so that we can discuss. Is there anyone who doesn't understand this graph? I'm happy to explain it again.
Yes, ma'am. Please explain.
Okay, I'll explain it again. Okay, so you have to imagine that there is a mainland. Okay, so mainland is like your huge landmass. Like, let's say, for example, India, and there are several islands at a distance from the coast of India. Now, these islands can be large or small, and they can be near to India or far away from India, but they're all islands, right? And you have several species that can move from the mainland to these islands. So that is covered in the y-axis, which is this rate. Rate of colonization means rate of individuals or species going to the island, and rate of extinction means the number of species that are dying on the island. And your x-axis has a number of species, right? So if you follow this, so this dashed line is extinction. Uh, no, wait. This side is extinction, this side is colonization. Small is the dashed green line. Large island is the solid green line. Closed islands are the solid orange line, and remote islands are the dashed orange line, right? So if you have remote islands that are small, you have this many number of species, right? So now could you tell me which island would support the most number of species? Is this clear? This point. This point is where far away small islands will have the number of species. If I drop a line perpendicular from here, this will be the number of species on far away small islands, right? So so apart from those who have answered, would you like to take a guess as to which island would support the most number of species? Okay, Amul says C. Anybody else? One more person, take a guess. Okay, so I think let's just go with C. So C is the correct answer, because if you follow the line for close large islands, it intersects here, and if I drop a perpendicular, I have the maximum number of species, right? Now, why exactly is this happening? So I have a diagrammatic illustration taken from a very good book to show you. So you can see the distance, how much role distance plays on colonization of species, right? The closer an island is to the mainland, so you have mainland here on the left and the islands here on the right. So if you have closer islands, more the number of species that are likely to go to this, right? What are the means of going to this island? Could you describe? Here we are covering only bird species. What do you think are the means of movement to this island?
Say,
Wind.
Sure, yes, they fly, right? But suppose we had
yes, yes.
mammals, and imagine all these colors are mammals. What would be the ways in which they could come to the island?
Madam, please repeat.
If these animals out here, so these are all birds, right? But imagine if they were mammals, how would they
Yes.
reach these islands?
Ma'am, by floating.
Sorry, Manish. Manish, I didn't hear you clearly. So the means of reaching the island, the movement means of reaching the island for mammals, since mammals can't fly except for bats, all mammals, other mammals cannot fly. Mammals would swim, right? They would swim from
Yes, ma'am.
mainland to the closer islands. But if the distance increases, the number of mammals that can swim to a faraway island is very less, right? So closer you are to a mainland, the more the number of animals or species that are likely to colonize it, right? Yes, exactly. Mammals can swim. So, Rano also mentioned food resources on the islands will be more compared to. compared to mainland, not really, so the mainland is a huge landmass, but the island is a very small landmass. So comparatively, if see these two islands are exactly the same size, larger the landmass, more is the amount of resources, right? Smaller the landmass, lesser the amount of resources, right? And even if you talk about dispersal of flora, if it has been dispersed or dispersed via different agents like birds, you will likely to have more species diversity of flora on an island that is near than an island that is far, right? Okay, so now let's talk about size. First we have covered distance. Now to talk about size. The larger the island, as we just discussed, the more the number of species that are able to colonize it, even though it is far, right? So if we go back, so we have, what do we have in the second graph? We have large remote islands, which is here. How do I get up? Okay, here. So if I have large remote islands, this is the number of species that I can have. But if I have small remote islands, this is the number of species I can have, right? Here. Oops. Here. So despite the larger island being further, it is larger. So it can support more number of species as compared to smaller islands that are near. And why is this? Because the extinction rate is higher at in smaller islands because lesser resources are present on smaller islands as compared to larger islands, right? So there is differential extinction between both these islands. So that means fewer species will go. So you see proportionately fewer species will go. Since the larger island can support more individuals, if two die, four are still left. But if the smaller island can support only 3 species, and by some catastrophe 2 species are wiped out, only one is left, right? So the
Yes, ma'am.
probability of extinction is higher on which islands?
Large.
No,
Sorry, ma'am. Small.
small islands, right? And
Yes.
why is it?
Resources of
Right. Resources are,
less.
Resource.
yes, resources are lesser. Habitat is like the space is also less. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
brings you to one important term that you all have learned before, right? You have something called, you all have learned in population dynamics module that everything has a carrying capacity, right? All
Yes, ma'am.
case-selected animals are defined by a carrying capacity, and once it reaches its carrying capacity, the species suddenly the numbers begin to drop, and this carrying capacity is basically a set of factors that govern the total number of individuals of a particular species that can be present in a particular space, right? So you see how all these different concepts are tying together. Okay, so this is a very important theory, this island biogeography theory, and yeah, you should keep this in mind. All right, so is everyone clear on this? Does anyone want me to repeat anything?
Madam, smaller islands do have a high level of unique flora and fauna.
Small islands do have a large number of unique flora and fauna, true, but here we are comparing it with 2 factors, right? We are comparing it from distance to mainland and the size of the island itself. If a small island is closer to a mainland, it is likely to have a more number of unique species as compared to an island that is small but is away from the mainland. right? Because somehow the species need to get there from somewhere, right? And your rate of colonization is always higher closer to the mainland because species are originating from these mainlands and moving to these islands, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm assuming everyone is clear with the island-wide geography theory. So I'm just going to move to the next concept. Okay, so let's talk about dispersal and what do you think is an example of dispersal out here? So there are four examples I have listed. So movement of monarch butterflies around 3,000 miles from northeastern North America to southwestern Mexico. Movement of a group of rosy starling in the air. These are large groups of birds that are moving in the air. A movement of a young juvenile female bird out of its natal territory to set up its own territory? Or is it movement of a squirrel to find food? Which of the following is an example of dispersal? I would
Ma'am,
like,
can I guess?
uh, what Manish?
Ma'am, can I guess?
Yes, yes, please.
Ma'am, movement of group Rosie starling in the air.
Okay, okay. Okay, Ryan says C, Amol also says C. Anybody else who would like to take a guess? I would like to have a little more participation. Thank you for all those who are actively participating. Okay, B. So two for B, two for C. Anybody else? One more person can take a guess. Any tiebreakers? Somebody would like to break this tie. Okay, Bharat Kumar says D. Okay, that's clearly not a tiebreaker, an additional option. Anyone else? Okay, so let's discuss these options. So, can someone tell me? So, no one has chosen A. So, what is this movement called? Movement of monarch butterflies across 3,000 miles. What is this called? Yes, Vandana. Oops. Okay.
Madam, it's annual migration, madam.
Yes, correct. So that is an absolute right answer. So Shavir and Daniel says migration. Vandana says migration. That's correct. Okay. So what about this? What is this movement of a group of rosy starling in the air called? Any guesses? So this has also been covered in the previous chapters of animal behavior, and you have these huge flock of birds that are moving in the sky, right? And forming different patterns. That is like a hint. Does anyone remember this? Yes, correct. That is social behavior. So it is. It's usually the word is known as a murmuration of starling because you have these huge groups. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Social behavior is very. That's a correct context to this movement. And what is the purpose of this particular type of social behavior? Any guesses?
To guide the group, I think.
Not really to guide the group, but sometimes, yes, you might have like leader birds that define the shape or the direction of these flock of birds while they're flying.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Pred-
Yeah, Rishikesh?
confuse for confusing predators.
Yes, correct. So this is to deter any predators via the dilution effect, as the predator is unable to focus on one particular bird because they are rapidly changing their speed and formations, right? Okay, so it serves as a distraction. So now we know that this is not a form of dispersal, right? So now what about option C? Movement of a young juvenile bird, female bird out of its natal territory to set up its own territory. Two of you said this is dispersal. So actually this is the correct answer, right? Because what is the difference between C and A and B? What is different between dispersal and, let's say, migration?
Migration is back and forth.
Yes,
It is,
absolutely correct. Yes, and dispersal?
ma'am, it's not like that, madam.
Yes, so
It's,
yes. What happens in dispersal?
madam, madam, it's one way. It's not a two way, madam.
Yes. So yes, I think Shabir has explained that well. So basically, dispersal is movement from one place to another place, but this particular movement is not repetitive like migration that follows particular annual cycles, right? Basically, these movements are defined by certain things in the phenology of the species, but dispersal is absolutely correct. And in the case of birds, it is usually the females that move to territories further away from their natal territory. Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me what is a natal territory? We've covered this in previous lectures. Any guesses? Yes, that's correct. Like, right, exactly, Shasta. It's the area where the bird is born, right? That is called the natal territory. Same words, right? Natality, mortality, right? Okay, and movement of a squirrel to find food is, what is that? It is definitely movement, but yes, sure, Daniel. Where the female takes care of the children, yes, female is predominantly found in plays a greater role in parental care in the case of most birds. Yes. So movement of a squirrel to find food is just basically foraging behavior, right? Goes, it comes back, it goes to short distances, it doesn't go to large distances. So it's not migration either, right? Squirrel is not traveling miles and miles to find food, right? It's just going out of the place where it rests and it has a particular territory and it's foraging for food within its territory, right? So we must understand exactly what dispersal is. Yes, searching for food, that is correct, right? So dispersal basically means a one-way movement, okay? So let's go on to the next question. Is Okay, so these are various kind of seeds that are dispersed in various ways. Could you guess what are the types of dispersal that you think these seeds of fruits are dispersed through? So here, I don't know if you have seen these trees, but they are of the red silk cotton tree, Bombax ceiba. Okay, so this is dispersed. The first figure is dispersed by, you can make out by the
Air,
pattern
ma'am.
of the seeds. Yes, Manish?
By air, ma'am.
Yes, by air. That is absolutely correct. By wind, yes. What about the second panel?
By
Water,
water.
ma'am.
Water,
By
yes, ma'am.
yes, by water. This is a coconut uh, seed that has floated. So that's how coconuts manage to, manage to be found on several different coastal areas, islands, mainlands, everywhere, because they are so hardy and sturdy and light that they remain afloat and they can float large distances for very long periods of time and still reach a landmass and germinate to form a tree, right? Here you have some jamun fruits. How do you think this is dispersed? What is the mode of dispersal?
Consumers.
through
Consumers
by
by
yes birds.
Birds and animals.
by birds and mammals. Yes, that's absolutely correct. So you have animals that consume these birds and then carry them and disperse them either while carrying it or while through their fecal matter, right, after it gets digested. And what about this?
Explosion.
Insects.
Insects? Not really.
Explosion.
Man, through pollination. I
Not through pollination either. So actually, I'll give you a hint. This is a seed pod. I think this figure might be a little bit misleading. Yes, it is dispersal via. So these are seed pods of the balsam flower, balsam plant. Yes, Bharat. Yes,
Right.
Rishikesh.
By explosion.
Yes, by explosion. Yes, that's the correct answer. So, yes, these are highly sensitive to any tactile contact or even when they dry up or if you like touch these pods, they'll suddenly like burst open, and with that force, the seeds are sent away from the parent plant, right? And why are these dispersal methods so important? Like, why can't so let's take the example of the last panel, or even like a tree, like perhaps like let's say jamun tree. Why do you think these plants have evolved to be dispersed via consuming by other animals? So that more progeny can be made. Sure, yes, that is the correct answer. But what if there were no dispersal agents? What if it all just fell under the tree? Like they just once the fruit the tree fruits, it will just fall under competition. Yes, competition with.
Specific and intra-specific competition.
Yes, so it doesn't need, so yes, it will be competing with the parent tree, right? And usually near the parent tree, yes, you do have seedlings that are hardy and can survive well in shade, but usually if it's a huge canopy, there is very less sunlight that can penetrate, and it would be more beneficial for the seedling to get germinated away from the parent tree, right? Yeah. Okay, so is
Madam,
this, yes,
madam,
yes.
can we call it as ecological opportunity, madam?
Ecological opportunity.
Dispersal, dispersal. It is an adjective that which offers an ecological opportunity to a species to colonize new areas.
Sure, sure. I think in the sentence formation that seems absolutely correct. I'm not sure if it is exactly a particular term. I'm not aware. But what you are telling me completely makes sense. So you can use that terminology to explain dispersal events. So I would agree with you on that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next question. Oh, I see we are really running low on time. Okay, let's go through this fast. So there is like a law that describes a range of tolerance in organisms. Does anyone know what this law is called?
Madam, Liebig's log of minimum.
No, it's actually the other law. What was the other law?
Shepard's law of tolerance.
Yes, it's Shelford's law, right? So basically, this Shelford's law is telling you that there is one particular factor, out of a list of factors, there are certain things that drive the optimum range of a particular, the abundance of a particular individual. So in this case, you have like a wide range of tolerance, right? But there is an optimum range which is very narrow, where you find the most abundant individuals, right? So, and this is governed by all your environmental factors. Okay, so beyond this range of tolerance, you have no individuals. Within the range of tolerance, outside the optimum range, you have a few individuals. And then within the optimum range, of course, you have the largest number of individuals, which is denoted here by the population size, right? So I'm just going to move a little ahead. Mm, okay, so here is a figure. Does anyone know what this bird species is?
Ma'am, falcon.
Yes, correct. Any idea what falcon it is? Peregrine, no. It's actually the Amur falcon. And can someone comment on the behavior of the species? Just you can just describe this figure that is shown in a map out here. Anyone like to take like to explain this? Everything is in the figure, but I would like you to explain what is it showing. What is this behavior?
Ma'am, it shows migration.
Yes, that's correct, right? It shows migration. And why do you say this movement is called migration? Mm-hmm. Migration
Mm,
during winter. Why is this called migration? And what is happening in this migration activity?
mm,
Nobody knows what's happening. It's right here in the figure. So something is happening here. Something is happening here. Yes, long distance movement between how many sites?
Feeding grounds and breeding grounds, madam.
Correct, absolutely, right? So you have the breeding ground, which is somewhere out here in about northeast China, and then you have it migrating to Africa, right, for the wintering period. And very often in India, yes, you do have many vagrants across this route, but they have like a stopover site here in Nagaland where a lot of Amur falcons are photographed during its fall migration, right? So this shows a very common migration behavior. And this is undertaken by the bird when? Like how many times in a year?
two, I think. Uh,
Uh,
one time, sir.
one time. Yes, one,
Mm,
right? Because it breeds probably during the summer and then it moves down during the winter to these wintering grounds, right?
yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm gonna move on. So here you have, oops, I haven't marked. Okay, allelopathy is an important component in the development of future integrated strategies for what kinds of management. Now you all know what is allelopathy. Can someone tell me what is allelopathy?
Allele. mm, mm,
Okay, Ranald says weed management. Can someone describe allelopathy? Displacing other
Uh,
species? Sure. Yes, Ranald?
ma'am, releasing some chemicals that would prevent the growth of the other species.
Sure. Yes, that's absolutely correct answer. So now could we have more answers as to what could be the significance of allelopathy based on what Raimel just explained? No guesses?
Reduce the competition.
Okay. So in what kind of management is this useful in? Soil management, weed management, water management, or disease management?
Weed management.
Weed management. Yes, actually, yes, weed management is the correct answer. So I hope all of you have understood this part, right? So I'm just going to the last question. Okay.
Madam, invasive species management, madam. Can
Yes, no, I don't know if invasive species can be managed because they are, well, they are kind of like weeds also. So there's a very fine line between invasive species and weeds because I think weeds are just characterized by herbaceous plants that are growing, that are not like your target food crop or your cash crop, right? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess at the broader scale, this can be used for invasive species, but invasive species have a very high propensity of spreading as compared to, I think, weeds. But yeah, it might be an effective strategy, though I'm really not sure of the technical details of how it would work. But if you're interested in this, like you could maybe look it up and then maybe tell us about it during the next class if this is interesting to you. I think it's a good
Yes.
discussion topic. You could also post it on the discussion forum and everyone could add their comments on this. So, yeah,
Yes.
good question. Okay, so last question out here. Does anyone know what the species is?
Ma'am, Siberian bird.
No, it's actually, if you see the map, it is found only in India in a very small area, right? If you see this map, this is
Great
Andhra
Indian
Pradesh.
bustard, madam? Great Indian
Not
bustard?
not the Great Indian Bustard. So this is found in Andhra Pradesh in a very tiny area of about 400 square kilometers in a region called Kadapa, and this is a critically endangered species, right? So I have recently done some research on this species. So to tell you a little more about, to tell you what the species is, the species is known as the Jordan's coza, and it was discovered in
What, ma'am? Repeat please.
the
Its name.
Jordan's coza. I can just type it here, Jordan's coza, right? This is the species, the Jordan's coza, and it was discovered in the late 1800s, and then it was the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then it wasn't seen for 90 years, right? And then it was rediscovered after about 90 years in the late 1900s, right? This bird was found by the scientist called Bharat Bhushan, and the people who were working around with him, his team. Bharat Bhushan and his team found the species, and this is a very range restricted bird, right? So this map has actually been taken from the IUCN Red List map. So can someone tell me about the IUCN Red List?
A red data list in which endangered species are listed.
Yes, exactly. And how are they listed in this red list?
Ma'am, 5,000.
Sorry?
Ma'am,
According to their vulnerability, yes, and this is based on a number of factors. So I'm just going to switch to the red list, IUCN red list site uh, of the species. So here you have the, yes, it is a definite, yes, it is an ED species actually. It is an endangered species that is listed in the ED species. So here you have the Jordan's coza. Scientific name is Rhinoptilus bitorcatus. And out here, of all the endangered categories that you can find, it is listed in critically endangered, right? So after critically endangered, the next category is extinct in the wild, right? And then you have completely extinct. What does extinct in the wild mean? Does anyone know what is extinct in the wild mean?
Madam, it means that it is only it is through captive breeding programs. It is still present on this planet Earth.
Sure.
Otherwise, in wild, it is extinct. It's not found in wild, sir.
Yes.
But captive breeding programs, through by means of captive breeding programs, efforts are being made to just revive its population.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for the explanation, Shabir. I think that's absolutely correct. And extinct in the wild means it is still alive, but it's only found in captivity, not in its natural habitat. And there might be future aims of reintroducing the species into a wild, but still you must remember that the species got extinct based on some factors in the environment, right? Either anthropogenic or environmental. And reintroducing in the species in the wild would mean restoring that habitat to its original or similar to original state and quality, right? So that is what extinct in the wild means. So back to the Jordan's Cosa, I think we're a little overshot of time. It's distributed only in this very small regions, right? So this is its distribution in the world. It's only found here. And the number of, see, the last assessment was done in 2016, and we still don't know how many individuals are found. And then you have a huge number of categories that you can explore. Its geographic range, its population size, habitat and ecology, threats to the species. So this is like a good website to browse through if you are interested in species conservation, right? So yeah, I think you must. So the whole point is to know where the species are found and how far they are distributed, and this will help in the conservation implications of the species and how to categorize these species into these several different categories, right? So sometimes they can be found in very small areas, but they can be in huge numbers, right? So that means that they are endemic, but they are not they are found only in a particular area, but they are not under any particular threat, right? They're only restricted to certain areas. But if in this case, for this species, like we have the last seen bird was in 2004 or 2003, and we have not nobody has seen a bird, this particular bird, after 2003. So yeah, 2011 or 2003. I'm not. Yeah, I think it's 2011. 2011, 2012. Nobody has seen a bird for the past decade. So we don't know where this bird is and how many individuals are there. Right. So, yeah, I think I can wait for another minute if anyone has any questions. And if not, we can meet in the next tutorial session, next discussion. Yeah, thanks. So if there are no questions, then we can all break. We've already overshot time. Sorry for that. But yeah, let's meet next week for our next week's discussion. And thank you all for attending and also very actively participating. So see you all next week. Bye bye.